Hi everybody, we're going to talk about dividing polynomials. There are two different cases. One is when you divide by a monomial, which is our first one, and our second case is when we divide by a binomial. And so we're going to look at one of each, kind of go through the system. Now, for dividing by a monomial, let's go x cubed plus 2x squared plus 4x minus 6 divided by, let's go 2x. So this value right here is my monomial because there's only one term. If we want to figure this one out, there's 1, 2, 3, 4 terms, so that's a polynomial because we don't have a special name for that. Now, when you divide by a monomial, what you want to do is, since there's 4 terms here, we're going to set up 4 fractions, and we're going to add up. So we're going to add up the 4 fractions. In the denominator, we'll put an equal sign here because we're going to have an equivalent expression. In the denominator, we're going to put the monomial because everything is being divided by 2x. Every term. Each one of these fractions represents a term. So 4 terms, 4 fractions. Now we're going to take each term and we're going to put them. That's 2x squared, and then I have a plus 4x, so put 4x. I have minus 6, I'll put minus 6 right there. And now, what we'll end up with is, in this last one, is simplify each fraction. Or, as we like to call it, and you'll learn about this a little bit later, each rational expression. Now, remember, we have our rules. We can say x to the 3 minus 1, which would be x to the negative 2, which is 1 over x squared. That's the rule for when we have same variables with different exponents. But I've also talked about thinking, alright, well, the 2's in the bottom. Is there anything I could divide into the top? No. So we know a 2 is going to end up in the bottom. I have 3 x's in the top, 1 in the bottom. We're top heavy with x's by 2 x's because there's 2 more up here, so we're going to get x squared up here. That's just x squared, sorry. I just like fractions. I like to make fractions. So if you go top heavy or bottom heavy or having them being the same, you can do that as well. It's kind of another workaround around that one little trick that we learned. Now the next one, can 2 divide into 2? Absolutely. 2 divides into 2. We get a 1 and a 1. So there are no numbers in this one. I have 2 x's in the top. I have 1 x in the bottom. So it's like x over x. The x's divide out. I'm going to get x over 1. Remember, since in each term we're multiplying and dividing, once we divide out any term or any factor, we're going to get a 1 in this case. Now the next one is 2 goes into 4 how many times? 2 times. 2 will go into 2 once, it'll go into 4 twice, so I'll get a 2 over 1. X and x divide each other out. They're gone. It'd just be 1 over 1. So we don't have to do anything with that. So just leave it as it is. Now the last one, plus, now I have 2 and I have a 6. Let's not worry about the negative sign. I know that I'm going to get negative here, but 2 and 6, 2 divides into 2 1 time, into 6 3 times. So I'm going to get negative 3 there, and there's an x in the bottom. Now, if you notice, we don't like fractions with 1s because we don't have to write them as fractions. What we can do is rewrite this as x squared over 2 plus x plus 2, and then I have plus a negative. I can just say minus 3 over x and then we're done. Alright, so if you need to kind of take a look at that again, rewind it, it'll be good for you. Just remember, you're always, if you have 4 terms, you're going to have 4 fractions, and they're all divided by the one monomial term that you are going to use. Alright, now, case 2. Divide by a binomial. And what we'll get is long division. A process very similar to long division that you've learned before. Now, I will go with, let's say, 2x squared minus 6x minus 10 divided by x plus 4. And we will just go for this. So I have my binomial here. I'm dividing by the binomial. I have my trinomial here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set up the division, the long division symbol. 2x squared minus 6x minus 10 goes inside, and the outside is x plus 4. Now, the x plus 4, the x is the only term that I care about. The only term we make decisions about. So, now the first question is, x times what is going to be equal to 2x squared? Because I'm going to use that x, and I want to eliminate the 2x squared. So, I have 1 times x, so I know I'm going to have to multiply it by a 2, and x times something is x squared, so it's an x. So, I'm going to get 2x. Now, I'm going to put it over the 2x, or the x column. And now, what I'm going to do is 2x times x plus 4, and use a distributive property, and get 2x squared plus 8x. So I'll get 2x squared plus 8x. Now, what I'll do is, just like the algorithm of long division, I subtract. 2x squared minus 2x squared is 0. Negative 6x minus 8x. So I get negative 6x minus 8x minus negative 6 minus 8, negative 14x. Then drop the 10 down, or the negative 10, because that's what we do. Now, the second step I want is x times something is going to be equal to negative 14x. Well, I already have the x's. I just have to multiply by negative 14. So I'm going to say it's negative 14. So now I'm going to take negative 14 and I'm going to distribute it to x plus 4. So negative 14 times x is negative 14x. So I'll get a negative 14x down here. So when I subtract these, they go away. Now, negative 14 times 4, it's going to be a minus something, so I'm going to put a minus something there. 4 times 4 is 16. Carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5. That's a 56, so I get minus 56. And I did this to show you that it always doesn't end up nice and neat, and that's okay. Negative 14 minus a negative 14 is negative 14 plus 14, that's a 0. Good to go, we eliminated that. We're in good shape. Negative 10 minus a negative 56, well, that's actually plus 56. So 56 minus 10 is 46. So I know I'm going to get 46. Now, since x is done and there's nothing I can multiply by x to get 46, this is what we call a remainder. And what we'll have is plus 46 divided by what we're dividing by. And when you build your remainder, it's 46 divided by x plus 4. And we're all done. So the answer, the answer is going to be 2x minus 14 plus 46 divided by x minus 4. And that's what we end up with. Whatever your remainder is, it's just going to be over this number right there. So, like I said, if you need any help, come on by. My door is always open. Have a great day, and happy mathing.